Alright, so the first video I'm going to do today, and I haven't really done this before, where I would go back and kind of pick stuff out of older Webbot reports to see where we are kind of in the mix of things when it said to look out for certain things or whatever. And I think maybe what's prompting me to do that is how many things have been happening that the Webbot said to look out for. And I've already talked about very recently, about Bitcoin going up to 1,000 like it said, then going back down, hitting 888 multiple times. We have the other thing about the atmospheric rivers being described as essentially rivers pouring out of the sky because so much rainwater is coming down. And over in California especially, it is out of control over there in the use of that term and similar terms describing it. And I've discussed those recently at least 2 to 3 times, both of those, especially the Bitcoin thing. So another thing it talked about, it being the Webbot, was super cold weather, this mini ice age that's going to be developing, so to speak. It's been in numerous Webbot reports, this extraordinary cold winter. We're going to, as we exit winter, there's going to be places that still see ice melting or snow melting, when it should be summertime. It should have already melted in the spring, but it was so much that it's now melting still. So there's some of that stuff, and I want to discuss it. So I wrote to myself, of course, let's look at some early 2017 Webbot predictions that have either already started, maybe starting now, or are about to start. We are going to see how much the Webbot talked about record cold weather and a bit about politics too. And I had a little sub note here for myself. Think about, and this is like as I'm reading all these little pieces from these different Webbot reports, this is like a little mental note to keep for yourself. Think about the news story from Hungary and that politician wanting to work with Trump and was inspired by Trump and the Brexit vote, but he did name Trump, to go after these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations from the likes of such as George Soros. This politician named George Soros as one of the ones they want to shut down. Also, John McCain recently being the rogue politician who gave the FBI the nonsense fake report on Trump with these kids / pedophilia. There certainly is a visible war with the old career politician / status quo and the other side who wants to work with Trump and fix our country's many problems. There is already a battle over Obamacare being repealed, as you know, and the first steps have already taken place, by the way, and that's good. And it looks like the good guys, I'll use a term from Big Swear, the good guys are winning that war. Hang on. Just had a rogue sneeze come up on me. It's already a battle with Obamacare being repealed, and it looks like the good guys are winning that war. Keep all this in mind as I read the USA Pop section of the Webbot below and other parts of it. So this is from the most recent Webbot report. I'm starting with that one, which was, I actually got it in my hands late December, like the 30th, I think. Cliff had sent it to me. He's like, hey, it's a little early release, and he's like, I'll be putting this out later in the day. Not that it mattered because I didn't do my video till the night anyways, but this is that report. So it was given out like December 30th. USA Pop. It is official, not only in our data, but within the larger mass of the internet spew. It is now quite clear that a very large awakening wave has indeed passed through the Western dollar-slaved populations. This awakening wave is just starting to manifest according to our data and will continue for at least the next decade. This is being forecast as there will be a national effort some years from now to recall and replace all the propaganda school text here in the United States, or USA Pop. And you can see this happening with the whole fake news stuff. You used to be a legitimate source. You had great respect. Now you have zero respect. You are laughable. We don't even want to hear from you. CNN is tanking. So is MSNBC. But CNN, oh my gosh. So you can see it. This prestigious institute media. We don't trust anything you say now. And the same thing's going to go for the schools. All the crap you're teaching our children, leaving key parts of history out. Things you don't want them to know about. Time to rewrite that, do it the right way. But as it said, not from years from now. The new data sets have a new political issue that will be rising up in a fierce way over early 2017 as foreign H-1B worker visas programs is described as being swept off the table. Now, not the smartest man in the world, but just look at what's happening south of the border, Mexico, and Trump, again, it's not even in office yet. He's getting close. They had to jack up their gasoline government tax 20%. They're charging an additional 70 cents to the liter, I think was the number. People are rioting and everything. And as I read you the other day, they said, look, this isn't just because of the tax thing on the gas. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. We've got major political problems, all kinds of stuff, etc. But all this talk from Trump, we're taking this out of Mexico, bringing it back to America. You're not going to be doing those car plants down there. You're not going to be doing the air conditioning company down there. Boom, 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 one after another, rapid fire. It's not good for the Mexican population because they wanted those jobs. Of course, the big corporate powers wanted this cheap labor. But they made a sweet deal. Again, Trump, make you a sweet tax deal, just bring that stuff back here. So you can kind of see that that's starting. The whole H-1B workers thing, these people, they're going to be going back to India. You're going to hear Disney World. Remember I did a story on that several months back? They've, telling the people that work at Disney World, stay with us for 90 days. You're being let go. We'll give you like a 10% bonus check all at once if you stay with us for the next 90 days because we need you to train your replacement in there from India. I said, we should freaking boycott Disney World for that crap. That's BS. Those people, I think, will be going home. With Trump in charge, Americans first. So we're not quite there yet, but I think we can kind of see that coming. This will be a meme and the... All right, so as foreign H-1B worker visas program is described as being swept off the table. These sets show up first in early February, thereafter going at a rapid pace through to early April, where we get a collision between the foreign H-1B workers visas and as a meme and the tax revolt language. So I'm not so sure what the tax revolt language is. These more or less merge at that time into a larger political outcry that is showing as spawning not only trade wars language, but also boycotts internal to USA pop language. So maybe the tax revolt thing is about Trump laying down a tax for anything being imported, like he was talking about, tariffs or whatever. And these people not liking that very much. Not necessarily that's a tax revolt inside the USA from us citizens. And again, if he steps in as the man in charge, that's pretty much what he's going to do. Get out of the country, Americans first, have a nice day. Oh, you still want to try that and sell offshore and bring it back to us? Wrong, you're going to get taxed. Matter of fact, any country selling to us, you're going to get taxed anyways. We got to be competitive, so we're going to have to tax you now. If you want to sell your stuff to us, we're going to tax you, which gives the government even more money. So the tax revolt may be external, not internal, but we will see. The data would seem to suggest that a national campaign within USA Pop is going to take on big corporations over much of next year. Again, now it says over much of next year, but this was released for January 2017, so perhaps 2018. As the media wars get into full battle rattle mode in USA Pop. The data sets around the foreign H-1B workers visas sets include other language or other sets for technology boom that, in a strange twist of fate, is going to start up in areas outside the USA Pop just at the time when the US dollar cannot compete in hiring talent. The data sets have the power shift in USA Pop being a very, very interesting time for many of the people in the USA Pop as the political system is described as coming unglued. These sets have a bloody war that is going to break out from within the political parties, both of them, as the power shift early days will be bringing out a number of victims that will be visible across USA Pop. These victims are forecast to be the new face of the face of the political fracturing. All I can think of right now is John McCain is the first one out. The first one out right now in my mind is freaking John McCain. Remember all these Russian hackers put this green screen fake ISIS beheading on my laptop when I was visiting the Ukraine. Yeah, they staged a giant production room, brought in sand to make it look like they're in the desert, cameras, equipment, green screen, actors, to do all that and put on your laptop. We already said those beheadings were fake. I showed numerous times. I talked about it. These stupid things. They sliced the guy's neck 6 times. Nothing happens. They fade to black. It was ridiculous. They had Hollywood-type cameras zooming on the guy's hand, tapping his knife, his knife tapping his leg, different angles. I mean, this is not some guy with a homemade camcorder like you'd expect in the desert filming, like you've seen some real beheading videos if you've seen them. So that's one strike for John McCain. Then recently with this, like I said a minute ago, with this fake pedophile story against Trump. I gave it to the FBI. I didn't know what else to do with it. You're the only one. Only congressman and senator that could do that. Yeah, I'm the only one. Again, I can see him being a victim in a good way. You're the victim number one. Get out of our way. These sets have the political structure going through an upheaval that is described as being beyond any past experience. The data has this upheaval including raids against high-profile organizations such as CGI, such as what I now know I believe is Clinton Global Initiative, or NGOs, right? Which again, back to the Soros thing, NGOs, we want to shut them down. That will be screaming news on TV for weeks. These sets are forecasting the opening salvo of the political structure falling apart. And I got a little note here. Taking on big corporations and raids against high-profile organizations. Headline, January 11th, 2017. Big Pharma shaking as Trump appoints top vaccine truth advocate. Uh-oh. More on with this data set, though, this report. These data sets have the financial infrastructure within USA Pop reeling from the political fracturing wars. The financial infrastructure is showing as being both the weapon and the prize. This situation is not showing as going well for USA Pop as the battle will be attempted to be pushed out into USA Pop. These sets show that this pushed, I don't know why I spell it, P-U-T-S-C-H, pushed against our enemies is going to be both badly timed and catastrophically managed. There are sets within the supporting sets that tie the European meddlers as being picked off in these USA Pop battles as the money flows are altered. European meddlers? George Soros, anyone? Remember what I just told you? And then we have the Hungary politician we're going to go after and shut down these NGOs. Anything related to George Soros we're going to go after, is what he was saying. And he was happy to see what happened with Trump, and it inspired him to do something. Unbelievable. Fantastic. There are also sets to the idea of funds interdiction. These sets may be forecasting that foreign funds will be stopped from reaching local crises points. Again, that'd be the equivalent of saying, George Soros, you are not going to be spending $500 million on any kind of social unrest movement, period. No more external funds to be funding these little coups. The data shows that officialdom will be using the foreign money attacks first on the local protests against such thing as pipelines, but then the data has other parts of officialdom who will use the same tactic to interdict foreign agitation funds. As model space has moved into 2017, there is the nearly instant appearance of 2 large areas of growth within USA Pop and Markets entity. One comes in on January 9th and the other on the 12th. Though only within a few days of each other and thus temporally linked, these two sets are mostly discrete. They are interconnected through internal crosslinks. However, there is no dependency chain within the data sets. The first data bulge is on the 9th is for the markets upended, and he says traders involuntarily piss themselves, while the second occurrence on the 12th of January is for the unleashing of media wars. I'm going to read you some interesting things that have happened in the last few days because this is the time frame, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So in the web usually it says give or take 3 days. whenever he would give a date. That was like the old norm, plus or minus 3 days. So 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, which is tonight when I'm doing this, plus or minus 3 days. Again, you would push it out to the 15th. But I did find a couple things that are interesting that relates to that. Not yet, though. Hang on. The first set of the markets upended shares a great deal of the same sets as the currencies crisis set, but deviates in that it has a weighted trajectory being described within the details. The weighted trajectory is describing a downward arcing of financial charts that will be felt by the trading communities as overwhelming in a punch in the gut or abdomen. The punch in the gut language also includes vomiting and passing out as ancillary supporting sets. These sets provide no numbers, though we do have many references focusing on bonds and derivatives as being subjects of the downward arcing charts. These sets are filled with supporting sets of longer-term data and other temporal references for a 7-month long period of focus on the bonds and derivatives will be occupying trader attentions. Given the emotional values and their downtrend, the preoccupation with bonds and derivatives is not going to be pleasant. So I wrote a little note to myself. The only thing I could find specifically on bonds, which was actually posted on TV from Bill Gross on the 10th of January. Okay, so this is between the 9th and 12th it's talking about, first of all. But it was kind of saying on the 9th would be one event and then on the 12th might be another. Well, the second thing, I think, which is Friday, you'll see this video, the banks have to release their quarterly earnings and stuff. And Morgan Stanley, I got a video, I've set myself to do a video. Morgan Stanley cuts investment banking bonuses by 15% and fires 5% of the managing directors. That doesn't sound like record profits are going to be coming in the near future. Sounds like there's going to be a problem. And there's multiple banks tomorrow, or again Friday, today now that you're seeing this, that have to give their reports. And supposedly they're already saying they're probably going to look good. Profits will be looking good. But it might be the last of those profits looking good. They may cook those books one last time before Trump takes office. But that would be the 13th of January, which is in line with that 12th date where it talked about the secondary part of this market problem. And for whatever reason, the stock market just can't seem to get to that 20,000. It just keeps trying and going back down. Keeps trying and going back down. But that's not bonds. That's just the overall market, right? So here's what I found. Bill Gross, January 10th, just, 2 days ago. He says if the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury note moves above 2.6%, a secular bear bond market has begun, meaning downward trend, not upward. Investor Bill Gross warned on Tuesday, quote, watch the 2.6% level, much more important, he says, than Dow 20,000, much more important than $60 barrel oil, much more important than the dollar-euro parity at 1 to 1. It is the key to interest rate levels and perhaps stock price levels in 2017, he wrote in his latest investment outlook to clients. So the only thing I added was on the 12th of January today, gold finally hit $1,200 again, as dollar has dumped now below important key technical level. So the dollar has broken an important key technical level back down. Don't know if these are going to be what the Webbot's talking about. Is this something in the making? It might very well be. Bill Gross is extremely concerned about those bond interest rates, that 2.6%. And in his eyes, if it hits that, as he said, it's more important than the barrel of oil. It's more important than the currencies. It's more important than Dow 20,000. So it's interesting that the Webbot said the first thing with regards to bonds and derivatives, and this is kind of what he's talking about. These treasury bonds, right? So now we're going to shift focus to the cold weather that the Webbot didn't just say once or twice or 3 times or 4 times or like 5 times. It has said it and said it and said it. It's really started hammering on it last year, 2016. That for that winter, we are going to have record problems as far as cold, snow, ice, freezing, you name it, weather, entering welcome mini ice age coming to a planet over the coming years. So the rest of this is about that. And I've taken some pieces out of multiple WebArt reports, which I will tell you which ones is which, that pretty much seals the deal that it warned us well in advance of these record cold temperatures. And I do have some news that I copied and pasted to say, here's when this news article came out and said such and such. So weather.com, and I'm going to start off with some quotes from like weather.com and some news channels. December 19th, 2016, keeping in mind the reports I'm about to read you, aside from the January 7th, 2017 one, that's at the very end of this, I think. All the rest of them were last year, going back to June. This was posted, this was news posted on weather.com December 19th, 2016. Dozens of record, and keep reminding yourself when you hear that word record low, that's what Webbot talked about. Dozens of, not one or two, dozens of record lows have been set in the Midwest and Plains since this weekend as the second of two Arctic blasts in the past week invaded those regions. Actual air temperatures fell into the 20s and 30s below zero, while wind chills plunged into the minus 30s, 40s, and even a few 50s. That's negative 50s at times during this weekend. Sub-zero low temperatures were observed as far south as Oklahoma. In the Texas Panhandle, Sunday morning, temperatures dipped below zero. Monday morning from central Missouri to central Illinois and central Indiana, Fort Wayne, yada, 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 both set daily record lows for December 19th. On Monday morning, dipping to minus 8 degrees and minus 13 degrees respectively. Chicago fell to minus 13 degrees on Monday, just 1 degree shy of its all-time daily record low. First week of 2017. That's what this title was of this next news article. First week of 2017, record cold, 48 states going below freezing. It is increasingly looking like the first full week of 2017 will be greeted with a cold air outbreak over the lower 48 states that will be widespread and persistent. So let me get into the Alta WebArt reports. June 2016. The energy deprivation that is forecast is very long-lasting in that the longer-term values continue to accrue to the linguistic structure. The data further goes to exacerbation by way of weather, parentheses, ice age, change. These sets are forecasting that increased need and decreasing availability will be crossing in the near future as the climate alters to ice age conditions. Additional problems for the energy production not only comes from the colder conditions and out-of-place cold conditions, but also from sudden oil depletion syndrome in which the cap to the oil pool will be undone by the stretching planet. September 2016, WebBot Alta report. Yet more language is showing up for pockets of harsh weather as an overnight occurrence. In a few of these cases, we have the geographic indicators that will seem to suggest that people in equatorial jungles will be losing their minds as they experience cold and snow and ice from the sky for the first time ever. Other areas more used to snow are still going to be filled with people giving voice to what the hell kind of statements as snow blankets large areas months early. Some areas, such as Japan, are showing as being snowed in both very early and for a very long time. The cold is showing as being described as hyper cold and ice age cold in many languages by early January 2017. Of course, here on Earth, the scientists will be perceiving these issues as being caused by the sun disease, which relates to sunspots and is being discussed currently in academia. What they are not including will be the distance factor of Earth and all the other planets excepting Mars sliding backwards away from the sun. This is indicated to cause some huge levels of confusion that will, for a number of years, provide a boost for the flat Earth people. Not to say that they're right, but will provide a boost for the flat Earth people. This will be due to the sun being measurably smaller than in past time. This change in apparent visual size of the sun is also forecast to be temporally linked to the increasing solar radiation and crop damage. Also, the moon will appear larger by contrast as the sun seemingly shrinks. October 2016 WebBot report. And this particular section I was getting was from the UK, or the Europop. It was about the UK though. And this is from news articles first. January 2nd, 2017, from the UK's Daily Star. Freak freeze. Britain to shiver in, once again, record-breaking, chilling January, colder than Moscow. Next one, and I don't know if this is part of it or a different one. Monster snowstorms and a bitter ice glaze. That's almost ice age, but no, ice glaze is set to chill Britain to new lows of minus 15 Celsius in the coldest January in years, forecasters said. So the Alta report, October 2016, again about the UK. The winter weather for all of the UK is showing as redefining the meaning of brutal. This winter, 2016-2017, has descriptors that indicate that future generations will be told the story of surviving this winter. This winter, 2016-2017, is apparently going to be the coldest in recorded history at a number of sites across the northern hemisphere. Its other claim to fame will be the creation of many new UK, New England, centers around the southern hemisphere of the best of England, leaves for new pastures, green and plenty. November 2016 Alta report. Model space continues to show that new air currents, as forecast, will be taking the lead in the language for this coming winter 2016-2017 over large areas of the northern hemisphere. These air current changes are to include very bizarre behavior from the jet streams that will be inexplicable according to the new accretion patterns. It may be that they have a swing gradual or sudden of some of the jet stream currents to a more pole-to-pole orientation. Needless to say, these shifts will turn all weather forecasting into a devolving mystery until the shift is noticed and explained as the cause of the new weather pattern. The shifting into polar winds patterns shows up as also causing new ice formations and extreme snows in some unexpected areas of the northern hemisphere over winter, but more in 2017. The data sets are describing a pattern shift for the seasons that will put some parts of the northern hemisphere into a late occurring winter and extreme end-of-season snows, such that 2017 will also be the year the snow stayed through summer, with images showing up later that summer with typical summer heat stories against a background of still melting snow piles. These and other excessive snow and snow in unusual places and snow frozen repeatedly into a big ice lump are all part of the larger sets of the developing ice age language that has long been in these reports. The new data sets are suggesting that in spite of the push for global warming efforts, the climate will not be cooperative over these next few decades as we experience the coldest winter records in some number of years, albeit in very unusual places. Some of the places showing for really strange weather include Antarctica. The sets for the southern polar region are forecasting the climate shifts in this area to be pivotal for the planet's oceans. Further, the reports of odd weather occurrences in this region will be temporal markers for changes in other regions as the expansion effects alter the Earth under our feet. As model spaces moves through the new year on short-term and long-term data sets primarily into late winter, the confusion issues over the election chaos are showing as being cleared up. What the deep state had hoped would be an acceptable victory of the corporation's corruption model is indicated to be crashing, along with the fake money Federal Reserve notes. Now, that last piece I added from the report because of some of the stuff I was talking about earlier. These corporations' corruption model, the likes of George Soros's NGOs and all his companies, the Clinton crime family, the vaccine industrial complex. Again, who did Trump just hire to kind of take that seat in government? Anti-vaccine, Status quo vaccine, dude. Come on, this is beautiful. But that is what it's saying here in this was from November 2016. He didn't pick this guy in November 2016. Matter of fact, we didn't even know when this report came out for sure who was going to win. The election hadn't even happened yet. Although the Webot did suggest it would be Trump, which it did get right. And he normally says, I normally don't even get involved with sending the spiders out for the Webot when it comes to politics and, elections especially. There's just too much out there. It's too heated. It's, not too good a chance of maybe getting it right because there's so much on it. But this particular one, he said, I've got to do it. I just had to know what at least what the Webot was potentially saying. And everything it said about that has actually come true, just like it said. With the whole fight back of Hillary and this, we're going to try to take this election from them, steal it. They tried it. It failed. It said it would be a page in the history books and just a little blip in the page of history. It's not going to happen. He's going to be the guy. And when we saw them come out, remember Jill Stein, I'm going to file lawsuits in 3 states to do a recount. Nope, that didn't work. Electoral college voters, I'm going to flip-flop. Okay, hardly anyone flip-flopped, a couple people. Okay, that didn't work. January 6th, they have to certify the votes in Congress. I object. Do you have a signature from the Senate and the House? Oh, I have one from the House, but I do not have one from the Senate. Then it ends. It is, what did Biden say? It's over. Boom, boom, boom. Then they get up again. I object for the reasons of that. This is not up for debate. Do you have 2 signatures? No, I don't. Then sit your butt down. Good day, sir. Nothing but a blip in the pages of history, apparently, right? So I wanted to kind of cover that and kind of, look back. What did some older reports say to look for right about now? It has been nailing quite a few things, as I just said, the Bitcoin stuff, unbelievably, some other stuff. But, yeah, so that's it. Take care.